Welcome to the Invested Dads Podcast, simplifying financial topics so that you can take action and make your financial situation better. Helping you to understand the current world of financial planning and investments, here are your hosts, Josh Robb and Austin Wilson.
All right, hey, welcome back to the Invested Dads Podcast, a podcast where we take you on a journey to better your financial future. So, it's now 2021.
2021.
If you recall, one of our first episodes when we launched the most epic podcast launch of 2020.
That's right.
Was a 20 bold predictions for 2020.
Yes.
They were pretty bold.
They were bold, and we missed almost all of them.
I mean, let's just say that COVID wrecked our predictions in many, many ways, but we're going to revisit those. And just so that we don't set the precedent that we have to have the same amount of predictions for the next year, we're only going to give like a handful this time. Because
20 is a lot.
Think about when we're because this podcast is going to be sticking around forever.
Yes.
So in 2040, that's 40 bold predictions.
I don't even have that many thoughts.
No. So we're gonna narrow it down a little bit and kind of condense it a little bit. All right, Josh, we got a lot to get through today. Yes. The first prediction that you made was about the Olympics last year. What did you say?
I said that the U.S. Team USA would lead the total medal count for the Summer Olympics.
And how'd that go?
Well, they didn't lose, but they didn't play.
I mean, the U.S. led the total case count in COVID cases, so maybe that...
Yeah. So, obviously, the Olympics were canceled, so that whole prediction was out the window, which was a bummer. I love watching the Olympics, so that was, to me, a big bummer.
That's coming this year, though.
We have another one.
I mean, if...
Is there one this year?
I think they just moved it to 2021, but who knows? I mean, it's too early to call whether that's actually going to happen.
I'm not making any prediction on that.
That's too bold. Too bold. I had predicted, number 2, that Facebook's Libra would be an unsuccessful launch, and I was correct. It was an unsuccessful launch. There was a lot of regulation issues, and actually, I believe the project completely got pulled.
Yep.
So there's one in the win bucket. Josh, clothing. We got a couple about clothes coming up. What do you think?
Yep, so our predictions 3 and 4, I said women's pants, dress pants in particular, would finally feature real pockets.
It was about equality.
It was about equality. And
how'd that work out?
Brought to my light with my wife's frustration with finding those for wedding shoots, needing pockets for batteries and stuff. I mean, they're out there, but just not to the extent. We still have
work to do, people.
Yes. And then you had double-breasted suits, which again...
It's like a suit hug, remember?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
your jam.
That suit comes way over there.
Yep.
Well, if it helps, I still don't own any double-breasted suits. But
They're out there?
Okay, so everyone in 2020, the entire year pretty much in the finance industry was working from their house.
Yes.
So the dress code for...
Sweatsuits.
Yeah, the sweatsuits were really in 2020. But the double-breasted suit comeback may take a little longer. And... even when people get back to the office in the finance industry, a lot of them are going casual and more casual anyway.
Yeah,
so
I
think it's all TBD. I'm not giving myself any credit for that.
Okay.
I think the sweatsuit, like you said, that was the winner of mainstream finance decor and clothing. So election that happened, if you don't recall, in 2020, that was something that did happen.
Didn't it?
And I was wrong. Because I said, well, I maybe I give myself half an asterisk or something, because I said as long as the economy does not drastically slow down, Trump will be reelected and Biden will be the Democratic candidate, and it'll be ugly. Well, I got a couple of those things right. Biden was the Democratic candidate. It was ugly.
Yep.
And the economy definitely slowed down, but that was really due to COVID.
Yeah.
And no one could have...
Coming into November, the economy was trending up.
It was getting better,
yes,
but obviously it was still way down from where it was pre-COVID. So I give myself half credit because some of those components were right. What did you think?
I actually said that I thought there'd be more third-party votes than ever before.
I don't know how to check that, but I feel you're probably right.
I was wrong.
You were?
I feel like there was fewer this year. There really wasn't a strong third-party candidate.
And I feel like people really felt like a lot of people were voting against the opposite party.
Was record number of votes for both candidates, which leads me to believe there was not record number of votes for third party.
Good point.
But someone wants to email me with those numbers, I'd love to know.
Well, we'll have to get on
There
that.
was a couple candidates out there, Kanye West was one of them.
Kanye.
But there wasn't really a big, like if you think like a Ross Perot, that type of one who was in the mainstream, in the debates, those type of things. So I was wrong.
Josh, you made a bold prediction about healthcare.
I said healthcare would, as we know it, forever be changed less than anyone expected. And I think I was right.
I think you were. I don't think really anything changed.
Yeah, I think there was too many distractions for anything really to
I mean,
change.
the healthcare system it looked a lot different,
drastically
but the laws were not changed anyway.
Yep. So that was pretty close to being right there.
I predicted that you would avoid all dietary fads for the year except for donuts. How was I on that?
Pretty sure.
I mean, you still watch your dairy, and that's a dietary fad, even though it's for your own health.
I wouldn't call it a fad though. Like you can't eat if it bothers you. It's not really a fad. I can't think of any time throughout the year.
How was your donut intake year over year? 2020 versus 2019. Was it more or less?
It was less with COVID and everything. My favorite donut shop. It was
Fort
just
Finley?
harder to get to. Fort Finley Donuts, the best in town.
They really are.
It was hard to get to, and I think they were even closed for a little while, if I recall.
Well, I'm going to help you make up for that a little bit because we'll link to in the show notes, but we just released the results of our Invested Dad second half stock draft, and I did lose quite badly to you. So we will be enjoying some donuts together.
Yes, we will.
So
I look forward to
We'll be making up for that a little bit. Josh, you had a 5G projection.
Yeah. I said there would be a slow and somewhat boring rollout to 5G.
I think you get full credit on that
I think
one.
I got that right. And, you just
I
didn't
still
hear much
don't have
about
it.
it besides people thinking it caused you to go crazy or something. But
It caused the virus.
And we mentioned that us being here in the Midwest in a small town probably wouldn't see 5G for a little while, and that seems to be
maybe 2030. Who knows?
We'll get eventually.
Who knows? The iPhones have them, but we can't use them.
So then we had a thing. So in our office, we do March Madness every year. Do a bracket March Madness. Spouses can participate. I had one for the last couple of years. And Austin, you said that I would win this year's. And sure enough,
You didn't lose,
I did not lose.
but
they didn't play.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer as well because that's always
he
a
was
fun
really. I mean, you
tournament.
built that into your budget.
Yes.
You just
I
count on
needed
winning
those
that every
expenses.
year.
Oh man, I'll tell you what.
That's a lot of donuts you could buy with the winnings.
That's
there.
maybe why my donuts were down.
That's exactly why.
So you had a Tesla one. What was yours?
Okay, so Tesla, if you don't know, their stock was up like 600 and some percent throughout the year.
Did all right.
It did okay. My bold prediction was that they would fail to launch the Cybertruck on time. And not really, I had no idea COVID was coming, but they did not launch the Cybertruck on time.
That's right.
So-
they haven't launched it yet, have they?
Still haven't launched
No,
it. Yeah,
all
they
right.
said by the end of the year.
And that's the bulletproof one that you can drive through the apocalypse.
And they're supposedly like redesigning it. Like
Oh,
they released
They changed their mind.
prototypes and now they're like, we're going to redesign it. It could be less edgy. I don't know.
I mean, that could have been useful in COVID-19 world.
When you gotta
Could be
make the toilet paper
bulletproof
run,
and, like,
Got to make the toilet paper run.
You protect your stockpile in your
Exactly.
vehicle.
Yeah,
They cannot get
I
it.
think it's good. But it might be bulletproof, but it's not. It's not like metal ball proof.
Oh, that's right. They broke
That guy
it off the
through the window or through it out the
right.
window. So you
Wait, we're halfway through.
Okay, we are halfway
I think
through.
we should pause for a dad joke. We got through the first 10 of our predictions. We hit about half of them, actually. If give or take,
better
give
than you would
yourself
think.
How much credit you give for a couple of them, but not bad considering that we posted this before COVID-19 was known. So we're halfway through. Let's hear dad joke.
All right. It's more of a pondering thought, Josh. Dad used to hate the idea of having a beard,
Okay.
but then it grew on him.
It grew on him. I like it. So during Christmas break, I took some days off and grew a beard.
You did. It looked good.
Thick,
It looked good.
thick. And then I trimmed it off, and my youngest daughter was like pretty shocked at the change in me,
Yeah.
even though I'd only had it for like 2 weeks. But
Lost some weight.
yeah, it was
Hair weight.
It was pretty full. It was getting itchy.
I got some new beard oil for. No, I guess it really wasn't Christmas, but Dr. Squatch is my jam.
Yep.
Talked about it in the subscription
Yeah.
episode, but they had a package
Beard
for
oil.
it kind of keeps. They launched a package for Christmas with sale and stuff, and for soap and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, great time to stock up. Well, then this thing came with some new beard oil and cologne, and I was like, oh, cool. So I put some of this new sandalwood bourbon beard oil in my beard.
yeah.
It makes me smell like sandalwood bourbon. I don't know if that's something you want to have, on you all the time, but it makes me feel like a man.
There you go.
I don't know how manly it is to put conditioning stuff
You
in
need
your...
to treat because your
Gotta
skin
keep
can
it.
get real dry, and you got to be careful.
I'm just trying to take care of myself,
yourself.
okay?
It
Thank
is
you.
important.
Okay, and we're back.
Yes.
Josh, Hallmark movies are your favorite movie genre,
Oh my goodness.
and I think you made a bold prediction about those.
I said that they would come out with a new Christmas movie, but it would be written by the same people with the same bad acting and the same plot.
I think you were right on.
I'm pretty
Now,
sure
everyone
it was.
had a mask this year
I-
in the movies.
Honestly, I didn't watch any
I
Hallmark
didn't either.
movies, but I'm assuming that there was the same plot and the same thing, and I just know that's just every
There's
year
a, there's
how
a
it
lot
happens.
of reasons that I'm thankful that we don't actually have cable.
and that's
That's
one
one of them.
It is one of the big ones.
I mean, there's some cheesy movies on everything, but those are just really, really bad.
Yeah. So if we think all the way back to February, was it February? Yeah, I think it was.
That's
February.
usually when the Super Bowl is. Yeah.
Sometimes end of January, just depends, I guess. But February Super Bowl, you said.
Yeah, I said that the Patriots would win the Super Bowl, and you know what? I was wrong.
That's usually a pretty good guess.
It was.
I mean, if you're
I
just
mean,
going to pick
If you're going for like the last 20
Yeah.
years,
that's
you're pretty good.
You got a good chance.
But so yeah, I was wrong on that. Actually, the
Kansas City
Chiefs ended up beating the Niners.
Yeah, I believe that's right. And
Did I watch it? Part of it, I think.
for the commercials.
It's good. It's for my job.
Yeah.
Gotta know about what businesses are doing what. You announced that you believed there would be a shocking twist to the end of The Bachelor. And
Yeah, but
Someone
I
cried?
missed that there was also a shocking twist in The Bachelor. Apparently,
was?
where a lady found her guy in like the second week and left, so they had to get a new Bachelorette, and she
oh, really?
continued. Yeah,
So like they didn't even get to go through the whole show. They're
she's
just
like, "This is my guy. I'm not even doing the rest of the thing," and so that worked out. But I would constitute the end of that lady's season was a shocking twist, and I do know people cried. So
okay.
we're good
So
to go
you're.
there.
I think you get
I was on.
you get credit on
I was
that
on that
one
one.
for sure. I predicted that the Federal Reserve would hold steady throughout the year, and guess what? I was wrong. They made 2 cuts, and they were very large and very quick.
back down to
Back
where
down
we were
to
in 08,
0.
09 time frame when
Yeah.
they dropped it all.
So
the way
we
down
have
practically zero.
pretty much 0 effective interest rates from the Fed, and that's probably going to be that way for a
I'm
while.
going to give you half credit. So you said low inflation in the recent cut should sustain expansion.
But then the
The only
expansion
wild card
ended.
is trade, but you kept low inflation.
There was
so I'm
no,
going to give you
we
something
definitely
there.
had low inflation.
You didn't miss that.
Josh, you had a prediction about China.
I said we would not have a full comprehensive China trade deal in
And?
2020. I would say we had some agreements, but I don't know if I would say we had a full
We had some
comprehensive-
disagreements too.
Yes, we did. I would say we did not have a full comprehensive trade deal.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Credit for that one, I guess.
I predicted that GDP for the U.S. would come in around 2%, slightly higher than Bloomberg at 1.8. I was wrong. GDP was actually negative, and if you bear with me, I have it pulled up so I can get you the real number.
All right.
As of September 30th, which is the most recent quarter we've got,
Yes.
GDP on a year-over-year basis was down 1.7%. So the opposite direction I
That
actually
last
wanted to
quarter
go.
was pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll have to see when
Maybe
it comes
get
in.
closer
It
to
is not.
flat.
It's not going to be positive,
That could be up 2.
and it's not going to be up to. So I'm going to give myself not credit there.
0 credit. All right.
Josh, what do you think
I
about
said-
Brexit?
I said that the UK would finish their Brexit based off of Boris Johnson having a majority there from his Conservative Party. And, well, things kind of got distracted there for a little while.
Yeah.
COVID-19 showed up, which paused a lot of stuff. And they're still not fully Brexited.
They're getting
Brexited?
close,
Yeah, but I said they would do it.
but
and
they did not.
So wrong on that one.
And a couple personal predictions I made were I thought that Max Verstappen from Red Bull Racing would win the 2020 F1 Driver Championship. His
he did.
first. He did not. He got third because Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas from Mercedes dominated the entire season because Mercedes had the best car. And I also predicted that Marc Marquez would win his 9th MotoGP world title, and he did not. He actually crashed in the first race of the season, which was not until like June, and broke his arm really, really bad, and is yet to fully recover yet. So that's unfortunate.
It is.
Stock market.
Yes. Where are we at? So we said that, well, I guess let's just start with what I said. So I said, I'm going to end the year at 34.40 is what I said. That's about a 6.5% return on price, which gets you about an 8%, give or take. You know, surprising with everything that happened, the COVID-19, the bear market we experienced through March, April, the market was actually up about double that, or a little more than that.
Yeah, it was up 18%.
And I said about 8%, so I was just about halfway there, which, again, surprising. That was pretty crazy. Where were you at?
I said 3,500 for the S&P 500, which was around an 8% return, which is roughly 10% if you include dividends in there. So I was also
we undershot that
pretty under, in which no one would have predicted that, considering that we actually had double the return on a year where we had a COVID bear market. Yeah. So yeah, we were not necessarily that close on that. And Josh, final prediction that you made
20.
last year.
I said this podcast would reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Well,
little did we know when we launched the podcast, we don't actually know how many subscribers we have.
Nope.
There's no way of tracking.
We could have 1 million.
We could have.
We probably don't.
We don't. But I do know we had over 9,000 downloads.
That's right.
Throughout the year.
Yeah.
So we were just under the 10,000 download threshold.
Right.
And we're going to use that going forward more from a download standpoint.
So,
but in general, we were very happy. We had a lot of good feedback from everybody listening, and we continue you guys to continue to do that. We love hearing from people who listen.
So thank you all, and stay tuned, because 2021, we're going to keep pumping them out.
Yes.
So
we got
keep
some
listening.
good topics to talk
That's
through.
right. So let's take a step forward from 2020 to 2021, because it's going to take me a while to get used to saying 2021.
2021.
But we're in 2021. I've got some bold, hopefully not as bold, predictions. But these are my predictions, and then we'll go through yours. I said, number one, the Fed is going to hold interest rates steady at 0.
That's a pretty good prediction.
It seems...
They've kind of predicted that themselves.
I mean, they want full employment, and we're a long way from full employment. Really, it could be a couple years at least before we get down to where we were pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. So until full employment happens, they're probably not. Even if inflation happens, they're probably not going to do that. They've pretty much said we're going to have a lower for longer interest rate policy to let things run even a little hot.
Yep.
I also am predicting that the U.S. the U.S. stock market will lag emerging markets and developed international stock markets. I think that the dollar weakening, in also, combining that with the fact that developed international specifically is much cheaper relative to the U.S., I think that those are some tailwinds that are going to come for international stocks and stocks outside the U.S. So I think that that's going to happen. I also think that small cap stocks, again, so they were up like 20% and the S&P was up like 18. Small cap stocks, I think, are going to again outperform large cap U.S. stocks this year. I believe that Bitcoin will drop below $20,000 per Bitcoin at some point during the year. Now,
where's it at, right?
At the time we're recording this, it was around 32 or some thousand. It had gotten up to like 34, 35,000 over the weekend. And I'm thinking that's going to have a very sizable pullback.
That's pretty good chunk.
I believe the S&P 500 is going to end the year at 4,000, putting a round number on it. That's only 6% above where we are today. So with dividends, that's around an 8% total return. And a bonus to follow up, I think that Max will win the F1 Drivers' Championship this year. But Marc Marquez will not win the MotoGP World Championship, as he still has yet to fully recover. Josh, what are your predictions this year?
Yep. So you're just kind of finished with the S&P. I think it'll end at 4206.
Ooh, he's a bull.
Yes, and that's about a 12% return from where we ended the year. The national debt will increase. That's a pretty big prediction here.
I don't know.
I'm just going to say, I think we're going to go there, and it'll be a little bit higher than we ended this year. Just a little bit.
Trillions, potentially.
And then from a personal standpoint, the Cleveland fill-in,
whatever
they
are,
call themselves in the future, baseball team will win the World Series.
Wow.
Yes.
That seems bold.
That is a pretty big prediction, considering it's
How can you win a championship without a name?
Decades.
I
don't know. The Washington football team is trying to do it right now. So, but yeah, that's my baseball team, and they've gotten close. They got to the World Series, and the Cubs beat them a couple years ago. And
I know my father-in-law was very excited.
And
as a
again,
Cubs fan.
if somebody's going to beat you, it's the other team that's had a huge drought of World Series appearances. So it's going to happen at some point. I'll just hope to be alive when it does.
Yeah,
and hopefully it'll be this next year. Another prediction, though: oil had a rough year. Oil got destroyed.
Yeah.
I think oil is going to recover this next year. I think as things open back up, you're going to see demand for oil pick back up.
What do you think a barrel of oil is going to go for? If we're around 48?
We're at about 45, 48 right now.
Yeah, depending on what day of the week you're looking at.
I don't think we're going to get back up to the 80, 90, but I think 60, 65 would be where I would put my prediction at.
If we get to 60, 65, those oil companies are going to be jumping for joy.
They're going to like it.
So watch out for those beaten down energy stocks.
Yeah. But I think we'll get there at some point.
Okay.
And then the last one, you talked about Bitcoin dropping below 20,000.
I do.
It had a great run this year. It was pretty excited. My prediction for Bitcoin is actually that it's going to outperform gold.
Okay.
And it's becoming more and more of a place people go to when they're worried about volatility, which seems really weird because it's volatile in and of itself, but a different type of volatility, it seems. And so there was talk about it being a inflation hedge and all these other weird things, and I think it's going to start kind of nudging out gold for a while on some of those kind of auxiliary investment things. So I think it's actually going to outperform gold.
It's kind of a funny thing that people are kind of flocking towards inflation hedges right now because we don't have any inflation.
Like
and obviously, someday inflation will come up with all this money that we've been putting into the economy, but it's like, when? I don't know. But yeah, so if you can stomach those 7% drops in a day, enjoy yourself.
Well, your drop, from 30,000 to 20? That's a 30% drop.
It's going to be substantial, is what I'm calling it. And that's just at some point. It could rally back to where it is. Who knows? But that's how some of those. You can't even call it a commodity. You can kind of call it a currency. That's how those things work.
Yeah.
That's just how they are. So, that's 2021 for you. I think we've got an interesting year coming up. So stay tuned every Thursday when we push out those episodes. And remember, on our website, there are 8 principles of timeless investing. It is a nice PDF that we've got put together. It's a free gift to you. Overarching investment themes meant to keep you on track to meet your long-term goals. Check it out. It's free on our website. Josh, how can people help us to grow this podcast, continue to help people in this new year?
Yeah, obviously we say this a lot, but subscribe, especially on the Apple Podcast site. It really helps us rank higher so that more people can find us. If you know somebody who was listening to our predictions and wanted to know the outcomes, make sure you share this with them. And then always, if you have any thoughts or ideas, send us an email at hello@theinvesteddads.com. We'd love to hear from you.
All right. Well, until next Thursday.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Invested Dads podcast. This episode has ended, but your journey towards a better financial future doesn't have to. Head over to theinvesteddads.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and we had a positive impact on your life, leave us a review, click subscribe, and don't miss the next episode. Josh Robb and Austin Wilson work for Hicks & Zerker Capital Management. All opinions expressed by Josh, Austin, or any podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Hicks & Zerker Capital Management. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Clients of Hicks & Zerker Capital Management may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. There is no guarantee that the statements, opinions, or forecasts provided herein will prove to be correct. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Indices are not available for direct investment. Any investor who attempts to mimic the performance of an index would incur fees and expenses which would reduce returns. Securities investing involves risk, including the potential for loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment plan or strategy will be successful.